Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dauster and Da'Sean podcast. It is Sunday night, December 20th. My name is Rob Dauster. I'm joined once again by the one and only Da'Sean Butler, former West Virginia All-American, a longtime basketball pro, and he is now a podcast host with me. So congratulations on the step up in your career, Da'Sean.
Once again, it's baby steps to get to the level you are, Rob. So I'm working my tail off, bro. I'm working my tail off.
How you doing, man? Everything good?
Yeah, man, I can't complain, man. You?
Tired. 2 kids at home all day, every single day. Ready for that to change, but it kind of is what it is. So I'll tell you what, man. I'm ready for Christmas. Every single morning, I am so tired of every single morning waking up and be like, Daddy, how many days until Christmas now? One less than when we had this conversation yesterday.
Oh man, I don't have to worry about that. We got this little tree thing we have, like one of those. It's like the
advent calendars.
Yeah, like basically like the kids they get to put the little magnet on the number, so they count it down themselves. So any questions they ask, they can figure it out on their own. I'm not talking to you about that.
We got something that's kind of like that. It's like an advent calendar where you get like the little nativity scene set up, and you wrap each one of them in a present, and then you tie it up next to a number on this like big thing that we have hanging down.
Oh,
so my son gets to open, he gets to open like a little present every single day, but like numbers don't. He's 5, man. Numbers don't register yet. I'll tell you what though, like this is completely off topic, but he learned. How about this? He learned like all of his math from the Netflix show Number Blocks. Have you discovered Number Blocks yet?
Nah, I have not at all. Yeah,
listen. Let me tell you. Make sure your children, anybody listening to this, make sure your children, if they're not good with numbers, have them put on Number Blocks. Because we watch that, like I let my son watch that. It's 5-minute episodes. There's like 150 of them on Netflix. There's a bunch of iPad ads. Like they didn't pay us. Like I'm just pushing this out there because it's unbelievable. And
you secretly have stock in.
I don't. Hey, bro, look, I need to buy stock in it. I'll tell you that much.
Oh man.
But yeah, my son and it was randomly like we were just kind of like, Chase, what's 6 plus 6? 12. What's 3 times 3? 9. What's 9 times 9? 81. Like all of a sudden he's got like his multiplication tables down. He's 5. It's unbelievable. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, we got a lot to talk to. It was a wild weekend of college basketball. Gonzaga played Iowa. We have to talk about that.
Yes.
Xavier hit a buzzer beater. The Big East went crazy. Wisconsin absolutely embarrassed Louisville. We're going to get to all of that. Plus, I got to talk my shit a little bit about Rutgers. You know that.
You can.
Before I do,
you can.
Yeah, you know I'm going to. I'm going to.
But I picked Wisconsin, so I'm not tripping. Anyway,
yeah.
Continue.
Anyway, let me tell you guys a little bit about the official odds provider of the Field of 68 Media Network. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. The 2021 college basketball season is here, and teams around the country have taken the offseason, they've retooled, they've revamped, and they've hit the court running. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, has rolled out another one of their can't-miss offers. Trying DraftKings Sportsbook is easy, so what are you waiting for? Get in on the action now. To celebrate the return of basketball, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new players 100-1 odds on any featured matchup this week. That's right. All you have to do is bet $1 on any featured matchup this week, and if your team wins, you cash a crisp $100. You're not going to get a bill. It's just going to be money in your account, but you can cash that out. You can cash it out right away. And while we are all excited for basketball being back, don't forget we have bowl games coming up. We have college football playoffs coming up, and we have the NFL playoffs coming up. So download the free DraftKings Sportsbook app right now to check out all of their daily odds boosts. It's safe, it's secure, it's reliable, and it makes it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code FIELD68. That's FIELD68 when you sign up to get 100-1 odds on any featured matchup this week. That's code FIELD68 for new players to get a shot at $100 on any featured matchup this week for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania residents only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Da'Sean, it's the Monday Overreactions podcast. So what we're going to do is I'm going to provide you with my overreactions, And you are going to tell me if you agree, if you disagree, if you think I'm an idiot, which you probably do. So we're going to start this off. We're not even testing the water. We're diving in. We're going in head first. We're going in cannonball style. Are you ready for this?
I hope I am.
Gonzaga is going undefeated, and they are going to win the national title without losing once this season.
There's like a lot of stuff to unpack with that. One, I need to know if they're going to actually reschedule that Baylor game. Is that ever going to happen before they get into?
I don't have any inside info on this.
Yeah, I wonder. That's why I was curious.
The game that they scheduled against Virginia was like in that window where it would have made sense for Gonzaga to schedule Baylor. Yeah. And the game is happening in Fort Worth, which is like right up the road from Baylor. So does it mean that they're like it's on December 26th? So does that mean that they're going to try to schedule it like on Christmas Eve? Or are they going to try to play this game like afterwards? Are they going to try to play it on the 23rd? So if it hasn't been announced for this week yet, I don't know if that's something that's going to happen. It feels like if you're playing a number one versus number two, like you're going to have to do some scheduling. You're going to have to get the networks involved. CBS or ESPN or whoever it is going to have to agree to televise the game. You have to get the production crew there. You got to get the production truck there. You have to secure an arena to actually play in. So I think it seems relatively unlikely that we are going to get Baylor or Gonzaga, but my fingers are still crossed that it happens.
All right. So to your question, to your reaction there, you want my reaction to that? I say it will look like they can go undefeated. I feel like if they don't play Baylor at all, and all that's left in their way is the Virginia team. I mean, Virginia, out of everybody they will play for the rest of the season, will give them probably a big mismatch issue. And I say mismatch issue. I kind of was hoping that WVU kind of exploited this because they play two bigs at the same time. When Corey Kisper's on the floor, he's their four-man, and he's a mismatch in a sense as well because he's more of a wing playing the four in that team. It makes them faster. It makes them spread the court extremely better so they can, shoot and run. They could do a lot of things with Corey Kisper at the four. I thought WVU, when they played Gonzaga, didn't exploit the fact that Corey Kisper isn't a true big, and they didn't try to set up any high lows. They didn't use Derek Culver to go at him. They focused all their attention on going at Drew Timme, and none of it was to take advantage of the mismatch that was there with Corey Kisper. I wonder, will Virginia be able to do that? Now, Virginia they haven't played anybody really. That's my only issue with Virginia. I was pulling for Baylor to play them because Baylor is another team that plays more than 6-7 guys. Their 5 guys they all average double figures, similar to Gonzaga. This team with Virginia is, I would say, it's like top heavy with more like 2.5 guys. They don't average many assists. And if they don't shoot it well, they kind of like fold. So I don't think you can fold against a team who on average is like averaging 19 points. Like they get a lead, they keep it. Like they average like 19-point leads on the teams that they played out of 4 games. So like it's a game of runs. I just can't see Virginia really dominating Gonzaga unless they take advantage of, Hauser against Corey Kisper, because they don't have any clear advantages anywhere else. Like it's all towards, Gonzaga. Like if J Huff can protect the paint, that's cool. And if Hauser can lead the way, that'd be awesome. But I don't see you beating this team unless they just shoot absolutely terrible. And then they have to play their bench, who doesn't really score as much. Gonzaga I'm talking about. Then that's the only way I can see you even keeping up with them. Other than that, I can't see Virginia beating them. And then you get into the West Coast Conference, and we got to pray that the Field of 68's Golden Boy, Coach Golden, can take them down, because they beat another top team earlier this year in Virginia, and St. Mary's, and who else? Who else? BYU, maybe BYU, I was going to say. And after that, it's like they're going to lap them, and then they're going to go into the tournament. What I will say is, do I think they'll win a national championship? I think it'll be very difficult to play the competition they'll play in their conference and then win a national championship and be ready to like go out there swinging. Now, maybe they'll go undefeated. They'll get a high ranking, a high seed. They'll play a lower seed. They'll beat that lower seed. But then sooner or later, you're going to start matching up. And without playing a tough team for a while, like, you know, steel sharpening steel, that could be an issue for them, which is usually is an issue for them later in the end of the seasons like they've had. Like they kill. They kill once they get into conference play. And they always set up these great non-conference games during the non-conference schedule, and they play well and they do what they're supposed to do this year, especially. And, you know, hopefully that lasts into the tournament, because I can very well see the relaxed stage kicking in after they get to their conference, and then now all of a sudden you're in the tournament. So,
I think that I think that they are the best suited for any team that we've seen. Like, we always have this conversation, right? Like, can this team put it together? Can they make a run? Is this going to be the year that someone goes undefeated? And sometimes it's Kentucky that does it, and they get to 38-0 and get to the Final Four without a loss. Sometimes it's Wichita State, and they get to the second round and lose to Kentucky. Last year it was San Diego State. I think, you know, the Kentucky team, I guess, probably since Kentucky, this is the team that this Gonzaga team is the best suited to make that run because of what you just said. Not only are they playing in a conference that they should not, they're never going to be like an underdog ever. They're probably going to be at least a double-digit favorite in every game they play in league play. They might even be a double-digit favorite against Virginia. I don't know how you could pick Virginia to do anything against them. Like, we saw Virginia.
It's the only roadblock they have at the moment.
Virginia's struggling to get out of the 70s with overtime against Kent State. Like, and you got Gonzaga here, and Gonzaga's going to put up 90 points basically every night they play. Yeah, West Virginia is one of the best defensive teams in the country.
They scored 80.
Yeah, they scored 87.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Virginia is going to be able to run with Gonzaga, which means that they're probably going to, as long as they don't have any kind of coronavirus things. And like, that's the big issue this season is, you know, let's say someone on the team gets it and it spreads, and all of a sudden, like, the three best players, let's say, I don't know, Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert, and Drew Timme all happen to catch it in the same period, and they end up being out for 2 weeks, and it takes out their legs, and it takes out their wind, and they come back, and all of a sudden in the second round, they end up playing some team. Like, they get Kentucky in the second round, and Kentucky has finally figured things out, and they end up getting knocked off. Like, that's a realistic scenario. Maybe not. Yeah. Well, maybe not Kentucky. Kentucky seems like they hate each other and they're very bad. But
but don't you think 80 point? Like, granted, Gonzaga is a very, very, very good team, man. Like, offensively, just watching them play against Iowa was just like, I knew it was going to happen. I didn't think it would happen that quickly into the game.
They got whatever they wanted. Like, I don't know if you noticed this, Da'Sean, but like you know how when you're like playing a pickup game, and when you're playing like a men's league, and you're going up against a team that like is just like the guys there are just like nowhere near good enough to stop you, and they're tired and they're not really playing defense, and you're kind of moving the ball around, and it's like you have shooters that are just standing at the three wide open, but they're like, do I want to take this? Because I could literally get this on every single possession at any point that I've ever wanted to. I could get that shot right there. So they just pass it up and they go and do something else and something dumb. And they turn the ball over. Like, it got to the point that Gonzaga was doing that against the number 3 team in the country. Like, I've never seen that before in a game that was supposed to be this high level.
I mean, it was a display they put on. I mean, offensively, I won't use the word amazed, because it was very impressive what they did. But then again, I got to keep in the context that they played against a team that can't guard as well. But the thing I'm worried about with Gonzaga is them giving up 80 points a game. That's just like, that's a lot. But they're outscoring it by like 13 points a game too, though. So that's like a plus in a sense. But to give up 80 points a game, God forbid they don't have a night where they're hitting, or God forbid they just are going through the motions one night. 80 points is a lot to give up. But it's only 4 games, though, so you never know. That number can fluctuate. It's at 80 probably exactly, or 81 or something like that. But to give that up is a lot. To give up 10 offensive rebounds and average is a lot. To like that stuff's a lot. So I don't know. Like hopefully they can get to that point where they can finish out the season. Unless they run into those Mountaineers, I wish them well. I wish them well.
Yeah.
I wish them well.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is incredible that they basically just kind of sacrifice the post, right? Like, so we can kind of like the other hot take that I had was that Iowa is still good enough to get into the Final Four, and we can kind of lump this into the same conversation. But the thing that really stood out to me was that Gonzaga basically said, like, okay, this is what we're going to do defensively. We're going to allow Luka Garza to go one-on-one. Like it was like this down the stretch of the second half. We're going to allow him to go one-on-one because we know twos aren't going to beat us, and we think that we can score on every single possession. And if we're trading twos for twos, then they're not going to be able to make a comeback. No. So you saw that, like, they just kind of let Luka go one-on-one. And he got his buckets, because if you're letting Luka go one-on-one of the post, like, he's going to get his buckets. He's
gonna get his buckets. And that you saw it. Like, it was tough for Timmy. Like, Timmy started off in the game actually outworking them, and then they were just like, all right, cool, we're just gonna guard this one-on-one, and Luka did what he had to do. So
I mean, the truth though is, how many NBA centers right now would you be able to say, like, okay, you let him go one-on-one with Luka in the post and they're going to stop him the majority of the time? Like, he just has footwork. He's strong as hell. He'll knock you. Like, and the other thing is, the refs let him get away with whatever he wants. Like, he'll turn and put an elbow straight to your chest and create that space. And like, he's 260, solid muscle, and he's turning and putting that elbow straight in your chest. Like, there's nothing you're going to be able to do, because he does it in a way that doesn't look like he's throwing that elbow, but you're getting that elbow straight to the chest. He's keeping
the ball high, keeping his elbows high, and just turning. I mean, and it's not like many bigs are just sitting there taking charges, like, on that turn. You know, they're trying to, chest up with him, so they're catching that elbow straight in the chest for a hook or whatever else he's gonna do, up and under, whatever.
And I want to make it clear that, like, I'm not saying that Luka Garza is like a cheater or he's getting away with stuff, or the officials are giving him like Kobe.
Are you explaining this right now? Are you explaining this right now? Do you feel like you had to explain that?
For people that are listening, like, look, Da'Sean, you're new to the podcast game. You have to make these things clear. First of all, Iowa fans are crazy. Okay, they are crazy. Second of all, yes, you have to make these things clear. So I am not saying that Luka Garza is getting away with stuff. I am saying that the way that he plays makes him difficult to officiate.
He's a physical player, but that's just the way it is. Like,
that's the way it is. Like, he's not doing anything wrong, but you're gonna, like, you have to strap up. You have to be tough if you're gonna be able to guard him. And, like, there's not a lot of big guys in basketball right now that are able to do that. So, but the larger point is, Gonzaga just kind of let him do whatever he wanted to, and they are one of the few teams that has the luxury of making the decision to say, okay, we're gonna let you go one-on-one because we're gonna play our four guards. And you ain't stopping us. There's no way that you're stopping us. So we'll just trade baskets. So I think that once teams have to start making that decision of, are we going to help on Luka or not, like what we saw against North Carolina, like, that's when Iowa becomes really, really, really dangerous.
Yeah, I feel at the end of the day, man, with Iowa, I feel like they need to scheme a little bit better defensively. I feel like they need to – it's like one of those scenarios where the zone's not going to work consistently. It's not going to work the entire time unless you're playing against a team that just absolutely cannot shoot. The zone's not going to work the entire time. Your guards aren't great. Like, they're not the greatest, excuse me. They're solid. They're not the greatest defenders. And when teams put Luka in the ball screen, he's either all the way back in the paint, or if he comes up there, they're going right around him and they're getting what they want. So you need to figure out like some type of like a high flat or something to have him there and then have him back up, or whatever the case may be, to like, you have to figure something out as the coach, as McCaffrey has to, because like it sucks to see these guys be so great offensively and be able to do whatever they want and have that presence inside that demands everybody to like shrink into the post and then be able to kick the ball out and get these great shooter shots and then turn around and just like give up a basket at any point in time. Like, you almost like, like, so I see the question saying, like, do I think they're a Final Four team? Yeah, because at any point in time in the game, they can get hot, but like they can also lose the first round if they don't make shots and they just depend on him to make shots because he's not going to make 32 field goals in the game for them to win. So like, this is like, that's like Iowa's like the number 3 team in the country due to the best, one of the best players, if not the best player in the country. But like, I can see how people would argue they're overrated because of like how much you don't get from them defensively. Like, is you really can't depend on them to get a stop or stop a good team. Like you can depend on them offensively to shoot them out or make, get a backdoor cut here, find Luka. Luka gets baskets from time to time. But if God forbid things don't work out, they're not getting a stop. And if they can't stop anybody, that you can, and if you get a team that gets hot, even close to hot as a Gonzaga did, I mean, what are they going to do? But sit there. Like they're going to sit there and lose a game. So it's as easy as it is for them to possibly be in the Final Four, be a Final Four team because of the best player in the country on their team with a crazy amount of shooters around them. It's just as easy for them to get knocked off and then have him in Lucas Oil Field accepting his award, but then going right home afterwards. So
yeah, it's what will happen is the night where teams double Luka and Iowa shoots like they did against Gonzaga. The night that happens is the night that Iowa loses. And you can't convince me against good teams for 4 straight games that Iowa is going to be able to make down. Like, it seems like that's something that's kind of risky. Honestly, I think my biggest concern right now with Iowa is that Jordan Bohannon has been awful. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, he's been awful. Against North Carolina, he had 24 points, 8 for 17 from the floor, 7 for 16 from 3, had 6 assists, was great. The other 6 games combined, he scored 22 points total. He shot 6 for 30 from 3 total. That's a problem. Like, if Jordan Bohannon, your point guard, one of your best shooters, is playing like that, I mean, I understand. Like, he had dual hip surgery over the summer, but they need more out of him. They looked like such a better team when they had Joe Toussaint on the floor against Gonzaga than
but he creates differently too, though. So like, I feel like I remember we watched that UNC game and I was just in shock that this guy had this kind of green light, Bohannon. I was just like, the green light is insane, like to shoot that many threes, him personally. But that's what McCaffrey wants from him, and that's what he's going to do. So it's going to be hard for them to tell him, like, all right, slow it down, relax. And then you can't even compare him and Toussaint's game because Toussaint's more of a creative. Like, the jump shot frees Bohannon to do other things, where like Toussaint he can do a lot of different things. Like, he's not going to just stand there and catch and shoot the entire time. He could put the ball on the floor. He attacks. He does a lot of different things. So it's tough there's going to be nights where he looks better if Bohannon's not shooting the ball well, because like that's the stuff that opens his game up for him. That's like, that's what he becomes that much faster. He becomes that much difficult to guard because of his jump shot, where Toussaint is very skilled point guard, scoring guard, who can get to the ball, very crafty, get to the basket. Very crafty. So they got very different games, and how they get into the game is very different. So it's tough. Like, for them to be successful, though, Bohannon has to shoot the ball really well. I feel like Toussaint is a really, really good basketball player. I don't know if they win if they have him just be the guy, though. I feel like they have to play well.
It's like fire and ice, right? You have one guy that does one thing, you bring in another guy that does something completely different, and it's the contrast of having to figure out how to defend the two that really makes him so effective. It's just, and like, I'm not even saying Jordan Bohannon needs to stop shooting. I'm saying he needs to start making the shots that he is shooting. It's really just that simple.
Just make your shots. I'm sorry.
All right. So the last thing I got for you on this, like, we could talk a little bit about how good like Kispert and Joel Ayayi were. Like, Joel Ayayi had 18 rebounds, man. Like, that was huge. Kispert, like his passing and his shooting, like, he's just, I don't see any way that he doesn't play 10 years in the NBA. Like, he's definitely the next Joe Harris. This guy's like, like he's got like the shaggy hair. Like, he is tailor made to be like somewhere between the next Kyle Guy with the flow, or like the next Joe Harris that moves to Brooklyn and becomes a hipster with a beard that everybody thinks is just some like randomly tall coffee shop guy that happens to be able to shoot like 42% from three in the NBA. Like that's Corey Kispert's future. I am writing his future for him right now, Da'Sean. No, but the one thing that I do want to ask you is, I've been saying since I saw Cade Cunningham at EYBL, that I think that he is like the lock to be the number one pick in this draft. Like when you have a 6'8" point guard that can do the things that he can do, that can pass the way that he can pass, that is shooting 41% from three so far this season, he's special. Like I don't want to say that he's a generational talent, because I don't think that he's the same level as like a LeBron or a KD or a Zion.
He's not even. He hasn't shown that yet, though. At least I'll say that he hasn't shown that yet at all. So
yeah, and I don't even think that he's like a Luka. You know what I mean? Like I think that Cade Cunningham is a stud. I think that I've been convinced that he should be the number one pick over the likes of like Jalen Green and Evan Mobley. Like since I've seen those guys. Mm-hmm. But now that I've watched like Jalen Suggs, I find myself in the spot where this is the first time for the 2021 draft class where I've been like, okay, do I need to reevaluate Cade Cunningham being the number one overall pick? Because like Jalen Suggs, the shot making, the space that he can create off the dribble, what he is defensively, like his ability to play passing lanes, the shooting, like 7 for 10 from three. I know that he's not going to make 7 for 10 every night, but the fact that he can make some of those shots that he was hitting, the explosiveness, like he can. We talked about this at the Kansas game, but he could go from like a standstill, 23 feet away from the basket, one dribble, and get to the rim while going through defenders. Like it's not normal what he can do. So am I overreacting to one hot shooting night and Cade Cunningham playing on a team where there's not enough shooting for him to be able to, like, because what makes Cade special is his ability to manipulate defenses with the pass, right? Yeah. It's like you put him in a ball screen, you force two to go to him, and he'll make the right decision. It's very hard to do that when your decision is, okay, do I pass the ball to someone that's shooting 23% from three, or do I try to beat this big that is playing drop coverage while there's a guy behind me? So I don't think that Cade's in the best situation. So am I overreacting to that, or is like Jalen Suggs legitimately a potential number one overall pick?
Wouldn't take anything away from you if you said you wanted to pick Jalen Suggs as the number one pick. What he's shown is that, and this is what I want to say, this is what the NBA would be like. But when you go to the NBA, there's going to be a very talented person to your right, very talented person to your left, talent on the blocks, everywhere in the court. And Jalen Suggs has shown that if there's talent next to him, at least at this level, if there's talent next to him, he's still going to perform. Cade has shown that he could perform with talent not being next to him, whatever the case may be. So like you can't. I feel like with the number one pick scenario or any type of like player evaluations, it always comes down to what the team needs. And if you look at the players, you're like, all right, cool. Cade Cunningham's the number one pick. Like it'd have to make sense. Like he has to fit where he goes. That's the kind of player he is. I feel like Jalen Suggs as well is that kind of player. He has to fit where he goes. He can sit there and look how athletic he is and how fast he is in transition. And I see glimpses. I'm not saying he's exactly like it, but I see glimpses of like John Wall when he was in college, like glimpses of like that speed. But like, it doesn't like it won't matter either way. Like it just depends on what team he goes to. Cause you could have John Wall is great. And then you put him, he's been in the Wizards for years and it just hasn't turned into anything special. Maybe it'll be special this year. You don't know. Years have passed before you can see John Wall do what he can actually do. So like, you don't know. Like it's hard to pick between Cade and Jalen or whoever. It could be my guy from USC always bring up Mobley, the big Mobley. Like he could be. They say he has a chance to be a top 5 pick, even number 1, depending on how everything goes. Like it honestly, Suggs had a great game. Shot the ball 7 for 10. But I still like Cade, man. I think Cade does a lot. He's poised. I haven't seen him faking injuries yet. Just jokes. But nah, I haven't. I feel like Cade shows that he can, if he had a ton of talent next to him, he can display more of his talent. you see what Jalen Suggs can do with this talent surrounding him. And he made a smart decision to go to Gonzaga and not Oklahoma State. So like decisions weigh in as well. So like, if I had to pick, I'd still go with Cade. I love Suggs' game though, man. I just love how he could go from slow to quick in a heartbeat. How he can just casually be dribbling the basketball, one bounce, pick it up in a heartbeat, shoot the jump shot from the top of the key, in between screens, play with the screen, leave defenders in between. Like he's a very, very talented guard, man. I would say as far as athleticism, that's like has almost generational like athleticism for a guard, like his speed side to side, back and forth. Like he's great with that.
Yeah, for me, it's you always want to take the lead guard, especially in like the modern NBA where everything is so like heavily emphasized on ball screens and spacing and doing like the John Harden or the James Harden stuff or having just ball screen after ball screen after ball screen. I just think it's very important to have someone that can do that. So I'm always going to lean towards a guy like a Cade or a guy like a Jalen Suggs over someone like a Jalen Green or an Evan Mobley. But I mean, Jalen Green and Evan Mobley are both terrific prospects that I think, very real chance to be like long-time all-stars in the NBA. Yeah. So it's a good year to be drafting in the top 5. I do want to circle back because you said something that's interesting. I want you to elaborate on this because you've played in the NBA, you've played in the G League, you've played on summer league rosters, you played overseas all over the place. Can you just kind of speak to the level of, like, I don't think people realize the level of talent that are on the teams in the G League or the level of talent that are on these overseas teams. Like, just to put it into like in your case, you were an All-American on a Final Four team, and you were, I don't want, this doesn't mean to put you down, but like you were a second round pick, you played in the NBA for a little bit, and then you played overseas. Like, that should put into context just how difficult it is to make it to the league. Can you just kind of speak to that a little bit about how tough some of those like lower levels, I don't want to say lower levels of basketball, but like not the NBA are, how difficult it is to make it there?
I mean, it's a grind in general. Like, regardless if it's the G League, regardless if it's you're in the NBA and like the 15th dude, like it's always just a grind. So this is a lifestyle every day. You're in the gym before, you're in the gym for practice, doing the teams things. You're in the gym afterwards, working on your stuff or your body or your health, like, taking care of your body more or less. So it's just, at the end of the day, man, if you're not 100% locked in what you're doing, you couldn't possibly like be over there for a long time. Like, I see guys go over there and play for like 2 years and then just fizzle out. I seen guys go over there for 3 months and mentally they couldn't do it because it's not America. Like, I've seen some of the best guys that played in the G League. Like, I played in the G League for a year, and I've seen guys that average like 25 or friggin' 13, 14 assists in the G League and then go overseas and it just doesn't work. Like, it's just a different style of basketball. And the sooner you adapt to the different style of basketball, and just like any basketball or any basketball team, you learn your niche in that space or on that team or wherever the case may be, you do a better job. Like, there's guys over there that can play in the NBA. There's guys over there that play in the NBA, that play in the NBA now. Like Brad Wanamaker, who was on my G League team. We won the G League championship together. I saw him play, and we played against him in college. And I was like, oh, Brad, he's tough. And then I went to the Spurs. I was still hurt, blah, blah, come back. I play in the G League. Brad's on my team. And I'm like, yo, he got way better. Like, he's really, really good. Fast forward a year, he's in Germany. I go to Germany. He's the best guard in Europe. He won the German championship and German Cup like 2-3 times already. He ends up going over to Turkey, playing for a year, and then he ends up going over. He ends up coming back to America and playing with the Celtics. And everybody's calling me like, "Oh, I'm so shocked that Brad won him." It's like, no, he's been for like a couple of years. He was like the best guard, if not second best guard in all of Europe. So and he stuck to it. So it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. If you don't mind missing family gatherings and things of that nature, and you love the game and so on and so forth, man, it could be a great career for a lot of people, but it's not easy at all.
Yeah, my theory has always kind of been you have the freaks, right? You have the Kevin Durant's and the Kawhi Leonard's and LeBron's that are just like that are not normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have people that are just like completely unique in every aspect.
Yeah.
Then you have the guys that are just like the obvious pros, which are the all-stars and the NBA starters and the guys that are just like too good to not be playing in the NBA. And that probably makes up like a third.
PJ Tucker, guys like
guys
PJ
like
Tucker.
that.
Like PJ Tucker ran everything overseas, like ran through everything overseas. Players of the year, friggin' Euro Cup championship, Euro League championship, won. Like by the time every country I went to, PJ Tucker was like there and he did whatever he wanted for a year there already. And then he came back to the NBA and then was on the NBA team from then on.
Yeah, so you have those guys that are just obvious pros, right? Yeah. And then beyond that, for like the last 200 people in the NBA, so like the last 6, 7, 8 people on every roster, the last couple people in every rotation, it's all about being able to find the right fit, because the marginal difference in like talent between like the ninth guy on the bench for the Brooklyn Nets versus like the guy, like the second leading scorer for somebody in Ulm is really not all that much. It's about someone that is willing to buy into the role that they're being asked to play, someone that is going to be like a good locker room person, someone that is a good practice player, someone that is not going to like be getting drunk every night that they're on the road out until like 5 a.m., causing problems, getting DUIs. Like the people that are the model pros that find the right fit with the right organization and, like, to be frank, get lucky, those are the guys that end up making it. And there's a lot of players that are that are playing in the G League or that are playing overseas that haven't gotten that right fit or haven't gotten that break or haven't gotten that chance. So I don't know. I just always like to bring that up because people are always like, oh, he's a bust. You know, he's the 8th man on the bench in the NBA. No, if you make the NBA, if you make the NBA, you've made it. If you get a second contract in the NBA, like you're probably one of like the 3 or 4 best players to ever come out of the state that you grew up in.
Yeah.
You know, or that you're probably the best player to ever come out of your town or your city. So it's just, I like to reemphasize that every time I get the chance, just to make the point that like, it ain't easy to make the NBA. Like that's the hardest job in the world. There's 500 NBA jobs. There's 500 of them.
What is it? Like something crazy like this? Like, it's like only like 3,000 or like, what is it? Like 4,000 people have ever like played in it. Like it's like something, the number is like overall number is like insane. It's like, it's not many people that's ever played.
It's the hardest job in America to get, except for maybe the president of the United States, but I don't know if we could say that anymore. I'm not going to get political on this podcast.
Stop.
Not going to do it. All right. I got nothing else to add on Gonzaga or Iowa. So before we get into a little bit of talk about Rutgers, because we have to talk about that, let me tell you guys a little bit about Home Field Apparel. Home Field is an independently owned and officially licensed collegiate apparel company based out of Indianapolis. They are Indiana fans. They love Indiana football. They are heartbroken right now. So before I get into the actual ad and tell you about them, just please like tweet at Home Field Apparel. No E in apparel. It's just Home Field, APPARL. And just be like, keep your head up, guys. It's okay. I know that Indiana, like, they didn't get the bowl game they wanted to, but it's okay. So just let them know they need a little bit of a pick me up. But I think they're this really awesome company, and they're someone that I actively try to partner with because I really believe in what they're doing and I really like what they're doing. And it's not just because they're sponsoring us that I'm saying this stuff. They are. What they do is they go out and they mine all of the old logos and all of the old school logos and all the throwback stuff that you love, and they take them. They get them officially licensed. They repurpose them, they redesign them, and they throw them onto t-shirts and hoodies and sweatpants and all, like anything that you could possibly want, any kind of gear. And they sell them, and they're awesome. And if you're into that kind of stuff, if you're into some of the throwback stuff, if you're into some of the old school stuff, like just go to homefieldapparel.com, scroll through some of the products that they have, and I promise you're going to like it. The designs are great, and I can vouch for just how comfortable the t-shirts are. Like you don't get the saggy necks, you don't get the loose arms. You can wash them and they're not going to shrink and make it so that like you can see just how big my COVID gut is right now. When you wash them and dry them, you know how some t-shirts get all like loose around the bottom? They don't do that. That's the most frustrating thing for me about getting a t-shirt is when you dry it and it gets all loose and dangly at the bottom. So If you go to homefieldapparel.com and you do find something you like and you buy it, if you use the promo code Field of 68, that's Field of 68, you will get 20% off with your first purchase. And if you do like what you're hearing on the show or on the Field of 68 network, the best way to help us would be to go and buy something from one of our sponsors. So go and sign up with DraftKings Sportsbook or go and buy something from Home Field Apparel. That's the best way to do it. And Da'Sean, I say this every week, but if you, like Da'Sean, are a West Virginia fan or a fan of anybody that has not seen their team like get licensed yet, just tweet at them and let them know that this is what you want. This is what you're looking for. This is what you would spend money on, because they will make it. They will find a way to get a license, and they will make it if you can make it happen. So homefieldapparel.com, promo code Field of 68 for 20% off your first purchase. Da'Sean, here's my third overreaction. It's that you owe Rutgers a huge apology, an enormous apology. One of your best friends is on the staff, and you picked Illinois over them. You don't go into the rack and win. Nobody goes into the rack and wins.
I've done it before. It's not like this is not some holy place here. This is just the rack, all right. But no, I got to give them the just due, man. Rutgers, that was impressive. That was a really impressive. Very impressive, man. Because I hate using this word, but they exposed Illinois, and once you expose a team, I can't see any other team not taking that scouting report and then just using it over and over. And it'll make Illinois better, hopefully, before a tournament comes, because they need those reps of guarding ball screens and guarding and taking care of the paint and guarding the paint, man. Like, just watching the game, bro. Like, first of all, I don't know where Adam Miller was today.
He's in foul trouble for most of the
time. Yeah, I was just like, I don't know where he was at mentally. Like, it wasn't what I thought it was supposed to be. And then, not to mention, as the game went on, it was first of all, started off a little lopsided. I thought Illinois was doing what they had to do, and I was worried about Rutgers. Then Rutgers came and they punched him in the mouth, literally and figuratively. What's the guy's name? I was calling him the irritant the entire time when I was talking to my wife. I was like, yo, Makahi.
The guy who sounds like he should be in
the headband.
That dude is cracking me up. First of all, he doesn't his flow isn't right for the headband. Right. You know how like Corey Kispert has it's kind of curly and kind of shaggy, and it kind of falls over the headband, right?
Yeah, not his.
Yeah, no, his ain't right.
It's like a chicken hawk like thing. It was pretty cool. His hair was hanging over the front, and
it was like the triangle right in front.
Yeah, exactly. I liked it, but once again, he came in there. He I kind of felt like he mucked it up a little bit. Like, was talking he was talking trash. Got my guy DeMonte Williams out of the game. Like, got him out of it mentally, and then got him fouled out. Got him a flagrant foul. He was just in their heads. I think Rutgers was in their heads a ton the entire game. Young was amazing. He almost flushed a dunk down today, bro. If he had dunked that one, that might have the game probably would have been over right then. Like, he could have saved themselves the entire other half.
Kofi would have had to leave. Kofi would not have been allowed to return. Like, he would have had to take the early flight home.
Yeah, man. But what I will say, Rutgers, like, they created a great defensive atmosphere out there in the court, as far as like protecting their basket, blocking shots, getting steals. They out rebounded them, even though it was about one. They still out rebounded them, especially offensively. And if anything, I would just say they did a great job of the exposing part I'm talking about is they got back in transition defense, and then made Illinois play half court basketball, which if Ayo's not scoring the ball and Kofi's not just ducking in wild and getting the ball, it almost looks like Illinois doesn't have any half court offense. And then after they get the stop, they push it at them, and they were scoring. And if they didn't score in the transition, they get in the half court, put them in ball screens, and then just attack the basket and went right into Kofi's and right into George's chest, daring them to block shots. And they didn't block any shots. They didn't stop anybody from doing anything. So they were getting baskets in the paint, around the basket, almost whenever they wanted to. The guards weren't really doing much on the ball screen. It just didn't look good. And the last point I will make is they just do a great job of pinpointing when they're going to get the ball to Ron Harper Jr., bro. Like,
yes.
And then they took advantage of the mismatch like perfectly. It wasn't like one of those mismatches where he gets it and he's just like holding the ball for 7 seconds, trying to figure out what move he wants to do, or just pounding the ball, posting him up and pounding him in his chest and everything. They pass the ball, he gets it, he passes it, he cuts, makes the ball. Like, the ball's on the right side of the court, he cuts to the left. They swing the ball, get it to him, attack right away, and it's getting him in spaces and spots where he can, play his best basketball. Like, they just took advantage and exploited that mismatch with Ron Harper Jr. And once again, I was a fan before. I'm a big fan of Ron Harper Jr. now. After watching him just full out play the entire game, I'm a really big fan of his. It was upset at Ben's message to me. I was hurt. So shout out to Ben Asher. That's my guy, man. Those guys are doing a great job with the Rutgers team, man.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that all of these things happened in this game. Illinois jumped out to, I think it was as much as a 12 or a 14-point lead in the first half.
Yeah.
They shot 9 for 15 from the floor, or from three. That's 60%.
Yeah.
They shot 54% from the floor, right? They got 10 of 30 potential offensive rebounds, which means they had a 33% offensive rebounding rate, which is really, really good.
Yes.
They only turned the ball over 13 times in a game that had roughly, let me do the quick math, roughly about 75 possessions, which is really good.
Yeah. Yes.
And they lost. They lost that game. Illinois lost the game where they had 13 turnovers. They got 10 offensive rebounds. They shot 60% from three, and they shot 54% from the floor. And they lost that game, even though they were up by like 14 in the first half. That is, like, I can't tell you how impressive that is for Rutgers to be able to make that comeback and win that game. To your point, I love watching Steve Pikiell teams play. I love watching them play because they are so detailed oriented when it comes to scouting report stuff, and they have such creative like little sets and little actions. Like there was one that they went to a couple times for Ron Harper Jr. where they would have him set a ball screen, right? And then they would use someone else to set a flare screen for him right after he set the ball screen. So instead of rolling, he would flare off of off of a back screen, and the play was designed to get him a wide open three. And they got that a couple times. And that's just when you're going up against a team that you know is going to have a ton of help because of the way that they guard those, or the way that Illinois guards those ball screens. Like, it's just so smart. It's just something so small, but it's so smart. And then you get your best player wide open rhythm threes. Like, he didn't score for the first 17 minutes until he hit one of those threes. And then, oh, by the way, he had 25 in the second half and finished with 28 and 9. So that was a very, very impressive win to me. Enough that I would be willing to say that right now, I think Rutgers belongs in the conversation with Wisconsin and with Iowa and with maybe still Illinois as the best team in the Big Ten. I think that they're like definitively better than Michigan State. Like I think they might even be
especially
like,
today.
I don't even know if
I didn't see that coming today. I'm not gonna hold you.
that was not good. Tom Izzo's press conference was entertaining. For people that don't know what we're talking about, Michigan State lost at Northwestern. I honestly don't think it's that surprising. Northwestern's been better than people like think they are. They're ranked as a top 70 team on KenPom. Like all the metrics have them as really good. And Michigan State they're not the fourth best team in the country. They're 6-0 and they won at Duke. So people think that they're like what Michigan State normally is. They're not. They're just not. Like they don't have point guard play. All of their bigs are young. They're trying to replace like two of the best playmakers that they've ever had in the program history. Like they're not as good as we would expect a Michigan State team to be. So I'm not that like the numbers are good. Like the fact that it's a top 5 team is going to make it be like, oh wow, but it's not to me. That wasn't all that surprising. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, I think Rutgers is like legitimately a top 10 team. Am I completely losing my mind here?
Man, if I don't want to say this to make it sound wrong, but if Luka can drag that team to a top 3 team, I feel like Rutgers can I don't feel like the rest of the team is like being held together by Ron Harper. Ron Harper is a great player, and that team plays very, very well. So I can't say like it's just led by one guy. Like it's a really good basketball team. Like watching them today, the thing that just impressed me about them is just how they play defense together, bro. It was like very like it was almost like the game rebound together. They were very energized together. Like it was enjoyable to watch the game because both teams were chirping back and forth with each other. It was a very enjoyable game. But watching how Rutgers came together defensively and basically did what you would think Illinois would do to Illinois. Like they ran on them and then they got them at half court and then they just punished them and just literally slowly but surely punished people one by one, mismatches and finding wide open shots through small wrinkles and small sets. And they slowly beat them and then took the lead. And then once they got the lead, I was like, they're not getting this lead back. Like once Rutgers got the lead, I was like, Illinois is not getting it back. It's over. Like there's nothing they could do about this. You saw the text message. I was like, Benny, congrats. It was 12 minutes left in the game. I was like, congrats, bro. It's over.
All right, let's switch it up. We both really like Rutgers. That was a really impressive win.
Yeah, very much so.
Before we get into the questions that we're going to take today, just real quick, like how much of the Xavier win over Marquette did you see? Are you buying Xavier as a potential like top 3 or 4 team in the Big East? They are 8-0 right now. They do have a win over Marquette at home. They have beaten Cincinnati. They did run Oklahoma out of the gym. I was a little bit torn on them just because I don't think that their wins over Cincinnati and Oklahoma are as impressive as they looked at the time. But I mean, man, it's tough to argue with 8-0 with those wins. Like we talked about it. Who did we talk about it with last week? Kansas, where at some point it just becomes like you may be winning close games, but winning close games is a skill.
Yeah.
And they're winning close games, man. Shout out Paul Scruggs, 29 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, 5 for 8 from 3, 11 for 19 from the floor. Like we've been waiting for a long time to see Paul Scruggs make the leap as a player, and he made that leap. Also, shout out Adam Kunkel. You see that game winner he hit?
Yeah, man. That was and it called. Someone called it. I don't know if it was him, but somebody called it. They're like,
"Oh, it was
game."
so fun."
I was like, "What?" I heard because you can hear everything in there. So
you heard someone call game, and you heard someone go like he shoots it, and you back it up, and you hear that's cash. It's like
that's cash. That's what it was. Like that's cash.
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" Swish.
Yes, it was.
Like, wow. And he had a good game today too. Besides that shot, I mean, once again, like to your question. I feel like Xavier is like a 3 or 4 in the conference still, even though they beat Marquette like they did today. I still like Marquette because Marquette has proven to themselves beating 2 ranked teams already. Mm-hmm. They play some good competition, and it is a skill to win as long as you win games, and it is a skill to win close games if you do it a lot. But how many games does Xavier play? Like
they played 8. They're 8-0
so far. So they're 8-0 so far. I mean, it's only right to give them their flowers. I don't think they're still like the top 2 or top 3 in the Big East. Still, I like Creighton too much at the second team. Even though Zagorowski had a terrible he's been playing.
He's got to get it together at some point.
Yeah, man. This is not what I was looking forward to for the Big East Player of the Year preseason guy here. It's just not working out at the moment, but it's still early. It is what it is. It's still he has his conference play and so on and so forth. So I'm expecting him to step up as the game. I mean, as the year goes along. I like Seton Hall too. I mean, and once again, I bring up Marquette and they lost back to back. I'd give Xavier the 3 spot or 4 spot. It's tough. It's in between there, but they can't be top 2. Creighton's they're too well rounded for me. I like the way they play.
I think. If Marcus Zagorowski is this guy this year, like he had knee surgery in the offseason, if he is this guy this year for the whole season, then it becomes a very different conversation. But assuming that Marcus Zagorowski gets back to being himself, then yes, I think that Creighton's a clear number 2 team in the league. And honestly, I think that Xavier might be that 3rd best team. Yeah. We got to see if the shooting continues. They're not going to make 13 for 24 from 3 every single night. But I mean, if they're dangerous. If Paul Scruggs is playing like this, and you put all those shooters around him, and now they have Adam Kunkel.
Yeah,
That's a good basketball team. All right,
Yeah.
let's get into some of these questions from listeners. I only got 2 good ones today. We didn't have Coach Hop. Coach Hop didn't chime in.
Yeah, thank goodness. I didn't want any stories about me popping up with Coach Hop, man. He knows too much about me.
All right, so we're gonna stick with that Creighton and Marcus Zagorowski thing. So Max Schneider asks, UConn is an RJ Cole free throw 2 away from walking out with a win against Creighton. Can they contend in the Big East with a Cook back? Is it too soon to tell? So what do you make of that UConn Creighton game? And how bad should RJ Cole be feeling right now after you missed 2 free throws that could have iced that one with 10 seconds left?
Don't say that name to me. Anyway, I'm just joking. Now, when we talked about this prior, I remember picking Creighton to win that game anyway. UConn just came off a 2-week break of postponing games and canceling games and so on and everything. So I picked Creighton to win that game just because it's not easy to just come off of that break and then play basketball. And then Creighton's a ranked team who's very, very good, very well-rounded team in scoring. Christian Bishop is a good player. Jefferson's a good player. Zagorowski's great. Mahoney played well today. And at the same time in my head, I thought, you know what? I watched Butler come out from not playing games for a while, and Butler looked great. And I thought about it. I was like, this is going to be a pretty good game. And then I watched, I want to say the second half of the game, and I wasn't disappointed at all with how UConn played. I felt like not playing for a long time and them coming out and playing the way they did today, pushing the number, which was a number 9 team in the country, to overtime, and basically was a free throw away from winning the game. Like, nah, I don't think UConn has anything to hold their head about at all, except for that last free throw. But they shot 35%. They shot terrible. They were tired. They shot terrible, and they still fought and stayed in the game, through defense. And I think they had 9 steals, 4 blocks. Like they played hard. Tyrese Martin rebounded the basketball. Bouknight had 40. Want RJ Cole to do better than 2 for 13 from the field, but none of that even mattered because they still had the opportunity to win the game. So I really don't feel like UConn has anything to worry about, and it's good to see Creighton actually win a close game too. So, I mean, it worked out for everybody. The only thing I would knock about the entire game, which I was disappointed with, was Christian Bishop. And I remember me and you talked about this last time. He's going to be playing a big man role, and he needs to play bigger than what he is. And he can't go out there. He had great scoring tonight. He scored 19 points, but he only had 5 boards. I think what do you call Mahoney out rebounded him by friggin' 7 or something like that. And you can't expect him to get every rebound, but at the same time, I want him to do a little bit better when I watch him, because I feel like besides Zagorowski, he's also another person that can be a foundation as far as the post players. So
yeah, honestly, it was nice to see Bouknight go off like that. And,
yeah,
we've been hyping him for a while. I know UConn fans are incredibly excited about what he can be this season, but I do think that it is a very big problem that UConn got 40 from their star. Marcus Zagorowski was 4 for 14 from the floor, 1 for 8 from 3, with 3 assists and 5 turnovers, and UConn could not win that game. If you're playing in your building and your star goes for 40, you should never be losing. If you're playing in your building, your star goes for 40, and the other team's best player has an awful night, you should be winning by double digits. And
you should be, but how much can that happen if you're shooting 23% from
that's the problem. You
just
can't
couldn't make shots, and they just came off of a 2-week hiatus, bro. I'm not saying they haven't worked out for 2 weeks. I understand your point too. There's no excuse, but
if there is an excuse, that's it, because RJ Cole, Brendan Adams, and Jalen Gaffney shot combined 4 for 26 from the floor.
Yeah.
They were combined 2 for 16 from 3, and those guys are better than that. And the question that we need to be asking, the question that is probably going through Danny Hurley's head right now is, are those guys that player that what we saw today, or are they better than that? And if they're better than that, and they just had an off night because of legs and because of being out and because they were rusty, they haven't played in 17 days, and like I get it, makes sense, I understand. But the bottom line is,
I want a different play at the end of the game, like when they the end of the regulation, man. I wanted Danny Hurley to run something extremely different to get the ball in someone else's hands. Now, obviously, RJ Cole is a good player in the team, like, but you had 3 guys in that backcourt to get open. It's just like it was a lot of people in that backcourt. He damn near fell out of bounds, and he got lucky and they called a foul, and he like threw it off the backboard and the shot went to the left, I think, or whatever the case may be. Like, I feel like that it could have been a better setup to get whoever needed the ball, someone else to get the ball.
And the one thing that I will say, like in his defense, RJ Cole had not missed a free throw all season long. Now he was only 4 for 4, but he had not missed a free throw all season long. The last 2 years at Howard, he was a 79% free throw shooter over 2 seasons while taking like 500 free throw. He averaged 27 a game when he was at Howard. So like he was a bucket getter.
Yeah.
And he shot like 80% from the free throw line.
So 6 for 6 today too.
So like I'm sure that like Danny Hurley was like, okay, this is the guy that never misses in practice. He shoots 97% whenever we do free throw drills or whatever it is. Comes out and he misses those too. So like I get it. Book Knight was also gassed by the end. I think everyone on UConn was gassed by the end. So like it's understandable, but it's something to keep an eye on, right? It's something to keep an eye on long term in that. They need more support. It's just as simple as that. They need a better supporting cast and a better performance from that supporting cast.
Yeah, I said you're right.
Yeah. So, last question we got from Bucky's 5th quarter. It's about Wisconsin, obviously. Are the Badgers as good as they looked against Louisville, or was it more the fact that Carlik Jones was out and the Cardinals were shorthanded? For people that weren't watching, Louisville lost by 467 points against Wisconsin on Saturday. I think they were down 28-4 with 13 minutes left. Like it was a beatdown. They took Louisville's soul 5 minutes into that game.
And when they got to 12, I think they scored another 20 points.
Yeah,
it's like bad. I don't think I'm worried about Louisville. I personally picked Wisconsin to beat them either way. I thought honestly, even if Jones played, I just thought that Potter and Rover and Trice would just be too much. I just really I actually enjoy watching Trice play. I'm actually a fan of his. So I thought that Wisconsin would have a little bit more for them. They're not a very fast team in transition, but they get in the half court. They play very fast and they pinpoint where they want to find mismatches. They do a lot of screening with their bigs, and then once they get mismatches, someone switches. Potter does a great job, and Reavers does a great job of finding those mismatches, finding each other. They do a ton of posting up. So a team with 2 centers that play together and they play that well in the post together. I wasn't too worried about Louisville stopping them, especially at home. The fact that Jones didn't play, obviously, that's 20 points they could have used. I mean, and even then it was still ugly. So, yeah, I don't think we need to worry about Louisville. I just think they didn't shoot the ball well. They didn't do really too much well, and they got outclassed in someone else's gym. They just go back to the drawing board and they'll go back to their conference and they'll be fine.
I mean, they were missing 3 starters.
Yeah,
Malik Williams isn't there. He's got a broken foot or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Charles Minlend wasn't there, the transfer from San Francisco. Carlik Jones, who's their best player, has a chance to be an All-American, might be a pro. He wasn't there. The thing that makes their attack so lethal is you have 2 of the best ball screen point guards that you're ever going to find on one roster in Carlik Jones and David Johnson. Mm-hmm. And without Carlik Jones there, you're losing the better one. And it just kind of it makes their offense very predictable. So no, I'm not worried about Louisville long term. I also think that this was a great example of just how good Wisconsin can be. Louisville's still a good team. They're not 37 points worse than Wisconsin without those guys, but they had 7 players on the roster, and Wisconsin came out and ended it. How often do we see teams end up getting up by 20 and then allowing somebody back in it because they just kind of, lose focus or whatever? So they get up big, they step on their throats and they end the game. They were up by like 35 at one point. So to answer that question, like the answer to both of them is yes.
Yeah, they were fine. They'll be fine. I mean, excuse me. And Wisconsin was just great, bro. It's just the way they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah. All right, that's all we got today. Da'Sean, it's always a pleasure, my man.
Same here, bro. Likewise.
Make sure moving forward, you give Rutgers their flowers. You keep
I handed
put
them
some respect
flowers.
on their name.
That I did.
I'm
picking the other team next time.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, they're gonna play somebody really good.
Yeah. All right, man. Until next week, we'll talk to you guys later. Da'Sean, it's always a pleasure.
Same here, bro. You guys be good.